You all know this scene by heart. The spaceship pierces through the blue of the atmosphere. The massive rocket engines suddenly cut out, and that magical moment occurs. Our heroes instantly lift off their seats, and a dropped pen begins to float in midair. They drift peacefully within that gravity-free void, as if they have attained the perfect stability of the noble gases in the periodic table, which remain unaffected by any external influence. An invisible border has been crossed, and gravity has been shut off as if by the flick of a switch. For years, in Hollywood movies, school textbooks, and those shining trusted documentaries, we were sold exactly this illusion. If you go to space, gravity ends. This is a perfect lie that has been etched into our minds since childhood. Today, I am going to tell you about a painful and unsettling truth. In space, or at least in the so-called zero-gravity zone, where those astronauts you see are located, gravity is by no means zero. The astronauts you see doing flips on that screen are not floating in a magical anti-gravity chamber. In fact, right now, at this very second, they are falling toward Earth at a terrifying speed inside a massive metal box. Yes, they are not flying. They are simply in a state of perpetual freefall. Let's shatter this lie with math that everyone can understand. The International Space Station, that laboratory where the famous astronauts float, is only 400 kilometers above Earth. Do you have any idea how ridiculous this distance is? If you could get in your car and drive with your nose pointed toward the sky at 120 kilometers per hour, you would reach that space station in just 3.5 hours. A journey shorter than driving from New York to Pennsylvania. So, can the gravitational force of a giant rock weighing trillions of tons magically evaporate and reset at a distance of only a 3.5-hour car ride? Physically, this is impossible. As a matter of fact, the gravity 400 kilometers up where those astronauts are is only 10% less than the gravity in the chair you are sitting in right now. That is to say, if you are an 80-kilogram person on Earth, gravity pulls you like you are 72 kilograms on the space station. You are still quite heavy, and Earth is still pulling you toward its center with incredible force. Then we come to the crucial question that burns the viewer's brain. If gravity is almost as strong on the space station as it is on Earth, if everything is only 10% lighter, how are these people flying in the air? Why don't they stick to the floor like a bullet? The answer is not the absence of gravity, but a perfect illusion played on us by physics: free fall. Imagine this. You are inside an elevator in a skyscraper on the top floor. The elevator cables suddenly snap. You start falling downward with that stomach-churning speed along with the elevator car. If you took an apple out of your pocket and let it go at that moment, what would happen? Since the apple would fall with the same acceleration as you in the elevator, it would appear to be floating in midair to your eyes. Your feet would leave the floor, and because you, the apple, and the elevator are all being pulled down at the same time, you would experience a false zero-gravity sensation inside, until that elevator crashes into the ground. This is exactly what the astronauts on the space station are experiencing. They aren't flying even a millimeter. They are simply falling toward Earth inside a giant, never-ending elevator, along with their ship. We think they are floating entities only because the cameras are filming from inside the elevator. But right at this point, that shocking question will start to itch at your mind. If these people are falling toward Earth every second, why don't they crash into the ground like the elevator with the snapped cable? Why doesn't that multi-trillion-dollar station fall on our heads in flames? That is the moment where the situation changes completely. The astronauts are falling toward Earth, yes. But there is an incredible trick that prevents them from crashing. This is called orbital velocity. Now, I want you to strain your mind a bit. Let's combine this with Isaac Newton's famous cannonball thought experiment. Imagine standing on top of a massive mountain that reaches the clouds. You have a ball in your hand, and you throw it straight out with all your might. Because of gravity, the ball draws a curve and lands 100 meters away. Now throw the ball faster. It lands further away, maybe a kilometer away. What if you throw the ball so fast that the curve the ball draws to fall to the ground meets the Earth's own curved surface at the same point? The answer is simple. The ball can never hit the ground. Because while it is constantly falling around the Earth, it is also constantly missing the ground. The space station is doing exactly this. It is a projectile fired horizontally at an incredible speed of nearly 8 kilometers per second. Gravity pulls it down while it tries to go around the Earth's spherical form at this speed. In other words, Being in orbit does not mean escaping gravity. Being in orbit means managing to fall while constantly missing the ground. This is not a flight of freedom. This is an art of evasion. So why was this information hidden from us? Or why was it so simplified? Because physics, if not explained correctly, is like a boring academic burden. What we did was show one of the most fundamental rules of the universe, like gravity, as if it were a magic trick that had been reset. Yet the reality is far more impressive than a magician's trick. Each of those astronauts floating in space is actually tied to the Earth by a massive gravitational chain. They just managed not to touch the ground by rotating around that chain at high speed without breaking it. Does this situation remind you of anything? The state of electrons inside atoms orbiting the nucleus without breaking away, or the eternal dance of planets in the solar system? Actually, the place we think is a void in space is woven with the invisible but unbreakable threads of gravity. We just forgot how tightly these threads bind us to Earth, and that escaping these threads is not a reset, but on the contrary, the skill of staying in orbit by using those threads. What did I tell you at the beginning of the video? The lie that there is no gravity in space is the cheapest illusion the science fiction industry has ever sold us. From now on, when you see astronauts floating in the air in those movies, you will not see a zero-gravity environment. You will see order within chaos, constantly missing the ground while falling toward Earth inside a massive metal box. Physics teaches us not how to do magic, but how to miss the ground while we fall. Now pause and think. If gravity is still trying to catch us even 400 kilometers away, what awaits us in those places we call voids in the rest of the universe? Now that this zero-gravity myth has been debunked, are you ready for the real cosmic mechanics? The dark and terrifying orbital dangers? In the continuation of this series, we will talk about how the smallest mistake during that fall moment can send astronauts hurtling into the infinite darkness. Leave those incorrect facts in school books behind. From now on, space will not be a place of floating for you. It will be an endless game of chess of immense speed and gravity. Truly, now that we have debunked these fallacies, are you ready to explore the other false realities in the rest of the universe? If you liked this video and it opened a new window for you, don't forget to like my video and subscribe to my channel.